Hi, Kieran here again. Hope you're all good. I haven't done a video for a little while, so here goes. Okay, I've been thinking about ethics again, as I often do, and a bit of background. People who've been watching my videos for a while will know I'm a utilitarian. They might also know that I thought of this new word for utilitarianism called well-max. I'm going to try and use the word well-max as much as I can because I think it's a much snappier word and more descriptive than utilitarianism, which is a horrible long mouthful. That's all by way of background. Anyway, it's been a little bit of a dramatic turn of events in my utilitarian intellectual journey because I've been a utilitarian all my life, and I'm a positive utilitarian as opposed to a negative utilitarian. So I want to basically I see it more as a value system as the bottom line. Basically, I think that pleasure is the only good thing in the world, and pain is the only bad thing. Another bit of background, as people will know who've watched my earlier videos, I am a moral skeptic at heart, so I believe I take all of this with a little bit of sort of pinch of salt, or, well, more accurately, I think ethics is all sort of made up. It's all sort of made up. I don't claim that it's something I can prove, all of this stuff. I'm just doing the kind of following the ethos I'm most comfortable with or something. So anyway, the news is that I've decided to actually amend my utilitarianism, change my system slightly. I have a little bit of a little sort of reconciliation with negative utilitarianism in a sense. And so basically, my view for a long time was what I just said, that pleasure is the only thing of value in the universe, and pain is the only thing of negative value. But now I've decided to add a kind of caveat that only the pleasure is only of value if it's unique to some extent. So if I had an experience that's positive that is exactly the same as an experience that somebody has had previously in the universe, then I think that is of zero value. Let me just check I'm recording. Yeah, that's all good. I'm not talking to nothing here. I'm just talking to myself. And this camera doesn't show anything on the front about whether it's recording or not, which is a bit disconcerting. Yeah, so basically, if I have only experiences that have some degree of uniqueness are of value in my new amended system. So also, if I have an experience that's a little bit like an experience somebody's had, it may be someone I have no connection with at all, it could be someone on another planet, in another galaxy somewhere, then that devalues the value of the pleasure in the kind of utilitarian calculation. So just to be clear, what I'm doing here is entirely downgrading sort of pleasure, as it were. There's no, in my new amended system, no example of pleasure will be of greater value. So in a way, I'm making, but pain is not. I'm keeping pain the same. So pain is still of the same sort of negative value as it was under the simpler system. So if I suffer torture and it's exactly the same as some previous torture someone suffered somewhere, then it's still of negative value. So this has big repercussions for decisions. What is a good choice in the world? And we don't. I mean, I won't go into the full ramifications here, as I haven't really thought it all through, and it would take a while, but sort of roughly speaking, we don't know how many universes there have been before or may follow from this that we can't stop. So for all we don't know how unique our pleasures are. So that possibility downgrades our pleasure a bit. Also, so there's repercussions for the value of animals compared to so less intelligent animals. So if you imagine bacteria, or I don't know if they have feelings, but single-celled things, or maybe a bit more advanced than that, maybe things like ants or slugs or something. You can imagine there's been an awful lot more of them in history than human beings, so their experience is a lot less, a lot more common. So an ant, if a man can experience pleasure, then it's much more similar. There's been a lot more of that pleasure, or pleasures like that, which means that the value of an ant's pleasure is less important than, let's say, a human being's. But to be clear, its pain is still of the same value. So what I'm saying is, this sort of position would lead us maybe to put all ants out of their misery, end all ant life. There's another caveat on my utilitarianism, which I did have before, which is that since I don't think that I don't think this is provable morality or whatever, this utilitarianism isn't something I can prove, but it's possible that there is some provable morality out there, or some I don't know, something like that. So I've never been one to say that utilitarianism makes us want to, you know, get rid of our intelligence entirely for a little bit more pleasure, because we just don't know. We don't know everything, and there's also utilitarian reasons for keeping our intelligence, because it's probably the best tool we've got to create pleasure. So there was that caveat already, but now in a sense I've downgraded lower intelligence kind of pleasures. It's a bit similar to something that the philosopher John Stuart Mill was on about, which is higher and lower pleasures. But I'm dealing with it in a more, I suppose, in a more negative utilitarian way. The other consequence for it is to do with the end of things. If we suppose we're the last people who will ever live, and we have the option to live forever, in my original vision, we almost have a duty to live forever experiencing pleasure, even though it'll be an endless sort of repeat. Now, I'm not quite clear if the number of pleasures, different kinds of pleasures, is finite or infinite. That's an interesting question itself, but certainly I think that the amount of, you could live forever, the number of times you can have a pleasure is more obviously infinite than the number of different kinds of pleasures you can have. So I think the consequence is that if we are the last people ever, and we have the power to experience pleasure forever, but it will eventually sort of repeat itself, then we should actually call it a day, kill ourselves at some point, rather than repeat that pleasure again and again. This video is going on a bit now, but two brief further points. I actually had this experience once when I was sort of experimenting with meditation once, years ago, and I was experiencing a great amount of pleasure, and I thought, oh, maybe I've just cured pain, you know. Obviously I hadn't, but I thought I might have found sort of nirvana for a second, because I did feel I managed to get myself in a really good state. I had this funny thought, which was, I don't need to live anymore. You know, I wasn't unhappy, but I just thought, if there's no pain anymore, but there's just no reason to live either. So in a way that was maybe a little clue that's led me to this as well. The other thing was I've been talking to about a year ago, I think now. I had a video exchange with in Mendham, and another video. I had a video response from Heroin Church, both YouTube user names, and I ended up admitting that I should torture everybody alive for a long time in order to create an infinite field of worms. If each worm, or even for 1 second, even if each worm, as long as each worm's second was reasonably pleasant for a worm. I mean that was troubling me. And I remember Heroin Church saying, I was on about a machine that can give you pleasure forever. Heroin Church sort of said, well, what would be the point in that? And that's what I'm trying to address here with this. Is sort of, I did share a little bit the feeling that pleasure forever repeating is a bit pointless. So that's why I've introduced this new little change to my system. Anyway, hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you all soon. All the best.